7 land plots, 3,000 plus units. This is what you can potentially expect in the Lentor estate in just a few years' time. Is this oversupply or is this first mover advantage? Is this going to be a repeat of what happened at Tanah Merah, or is the government planning something that we don't know? Hi everyone, I'm Sean, and today we'll be answering some of these questions to determine if you should invest your money in the upcoming Lentor Hills residences. To find out the answer, we'll be doing a holistic comparison of all the released land plots at Lentor, and I'll attempt to rank them in order of their potential. Let's go! So first question we got to ask ourselves is it even worth looking at the Lentor area given a huge supply? Well, when we think about many condo developments clustering in the same area, the first location that comes to my mind is actually Tanah Merah. For those of you who are not so familiar, there are about 9 developments with more than 4,000 plus units surrounding the immediate vicinity of the MRT station. Some of them are also launched one after another. So how these developments have been performing will give us a glimpse of how the Lentor estate might perform. My first observation is, despite the oversupply in the area, the number of profitable transactions are still quite healthy across the various developments, like Grandeur Park Residences with 99 profitable sales, Optima with 136 profitable sales, and the Glades with 116 profitable sales. My second observation is, there are developments that perform way better than the others. For example, if we go back to Grandeur Park Residences, it has actually a 100% profitable sales rate, and the average owner makes quite a decent profit of 200 to 300,000 profit. On the other hand, if you look at Urban Vista, it has way more unprofitable sales than profitable sales in the last 5 years, and even for those that are profitable, most of them made less than 100,000. From what we saw earlier, we know that it is still very possible to make good money in a so-called oversupply location like Tanah Merah or Lentor. The key question we are trying to solve today is, how do we identify the right development against so many competitors within the same location? With that in mind, let's come back to take a look at what are the 7 land plots that have been released in the Lentor estate so far. For the first one, we should all know about this already. It's called Lentor Modern, an integrated development with direct access to the Lentor MRT. The second plot is the upcoming launch called Lentor Hills Residences. Next up, we have Lentor Hills Road Parcel B, the one at the bottom, together with Lentor Central. These 2 plots were released at the same time. The 5th plot of land is called Lentor Gardens, and this is recently awarded to Guoco Land back in April 2023. Number 6, we have Lentor Central Parcel B. This is currently open for tender. And finally, we have Lentor Gardens, which is currently on the reserved list, which may or may not be released for sale depending if there's any applicants or not. So here we are. I have listed all 7 land plots in chronological order. So to determine which plot of land is the most promising, I will attempt to give each development a score based on 5 key factors, namely, is it within 1 km to a popular school, 𝗂𝗃𝗃 St. Nick's in this case, proximity to MRT, project size, layout and finishing, and finally pricing. Each factor will be scored according to a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being very poor and 5 being excellent. At the end of the day, I will sum up the total score and we'll be able to see which development has the highest potential to outperform against the rest. First of all, let's see how this development score based on whether they are within 1 km to 𝗂𝗃𝗃 St. Nicholas Girls' School. This is an important factor because we know how being within 1 km of a popular school will help in your future demand and resale value. So what I've done here is to superimpose the URA GLS map, where you can see the different land plots here with one map, so we can see which exactly are the developments, the land plots that's within the 1 km radius of 𝗂𝗃𝗃. So you can see those shaded in red here will be within the 1 km radius mark. I've also drawn a circle here so you can see very clearly where the radius is. So with this, it's very clear there's only 3 developments that falls within this 1 km radius. The first one is Lentor Hills Road Parcel B. The second one is Lentor Gardens and half of Lentor Hills Residences. Not the whole development, but only half of this land plot falls within a 1 kilometer radius. Alright, so the scoring is very simple. What I've done here, or what I'm going to score, is if it falls within the 1 kilometer radius. So for example, Lentor Gardens and Lentor Hills Road Parcel B, I'm going to give them 5 points, being excellent. For those that fall outside the 1 kilometer radius like Lentor Modern, I'm going to give them only 1 point. Okay, so only Lentor Hills Residences is a bit more special because half of it falls within and half falls outside. So I'm going to give it 3 points. Alright, so with that, if no other questions, we'll move on to the next factor. Now we will score these developments based on their proximity to the MRT. Again, this is an important factor because some of us feel that anything more than 3 minutes walk is considered too far. Okay, so let's take a look. For the first development, Lentor Modern, I think this one, needless to say, being an integrated development, you take the lift down, direct access to Lentor MRT, I'm going to give it a score of 5, being excellent. Okay, the next plot, Lentor Hills Residences, isn't so bad. Okay, you have a side gate here. Okay, you can just walk along the covered walkway, fully sheltered, cross the road, and this will lead you to Lentor MRT ready. Maybe about 3 minutes walk only, right? Likewise, for Lentor Central, you also need to just cross the road and you'll reach the Lentor MRT. So for these 2 plots of land, I'm probably going to give them a scoring of 4. Okay, for the other plots, like Lentor Hills Road Parcel B, Lentor Gardens, and Lentor Central Parcel B, these plots are a bit further away, probably about 5 to 6 minutes walk to the Lentor MRT, so I'm going to score them lower, about 3 points instead. Right. Finally, we have the Lentor Gardens Reserve site. This is the site that is furthest away from Lentor MRT. Even if you cut across the park, it will likely be unsheltered. So I'm going to give it a scoring of 2 instead. Okay, so you can take a look. This is my scoring for their proximity to MRT. You can have your own scoring, okay, depending on how you score them accordingly, but this is my scoring for this factor. Next up, we will look at the size of the development. Generally, smaller developments will have lower transaction volume, lesser facilities and landscaping, but higher maintenance fees. For these reasons, a smaller development's price trend tend to be more stagnant versus bigger developments. Over here, I've listed the estimated number of units for each development. Most of them are considered mid-sized developments with about 470 to 600 units, which we will likely see healthy transaction volume. However, one plot of land at Lentor Hills Road Parcel B only has 265 units. As such, I only give it a score of 2, while the rest I gave a score of 4. The next factor on layout and finishing is more subjective because it depends on your personal preference. To me, I feel that Lentor Modern will likely stand out against the rest because of its modern-looking facade, because of its 3 towering 25-story blocks and the panoramic view of the surroundings. Okay, if you look at the floor plans, they look pretty standard to me as well with minimal space wastage. For that, I'm going to give it a score of 5. Okay, next up for Lentor Hills Residences. To be honest, when I first saw the show flat model, its design looks a bit underwhelming. You will know what I mean when you're at the show flat. But on closer look, I would say the development is still pretty decent with full condo facilities, 50-meter swimming pool with large water surface area, jacuzzi, gym, tennis court, roof garden, and even a conservation tree within the premises. Its floor plans look pretty standard to me as well. Guoco Land also has a track record of transforming areas like Tanjong Pagar Centre and Midtown area at Bugis into contemporary neighborhoods. Okay, and most importantly, did you realize the blocks are positioned in such a way that it looks like a bar? Okay, the Chinese character for number 8. I'm sorry, but for that, I'm going to give it a score of 4. For the rest, because we don't have any information yet, I'm just going to give them a tentative rating of 3. So here we go. These are my scoring for layout and finishing. Finally, let's look at the most important factor, which is pricing. I've listed down the land purchase PSF per PPR for the first 5 plots. We still don't know the pricing for the remaining 2. As such, I'm just going to give them a tentative rating of 3 first. Coming to the most recent land bid at Lentor Gardens, at first glance, it has the most attractive land bid of only 985 PSF per PPR. However, we need to understand that this land bid came after the harmonization of floor area definitions by URA, SLA, BCA, and SCDF introduced in September 2022. So one crucial aspect of the revised gross floor area definitions is that all strata areas, if you take a look at this, okay, all strata areas, including the area of the AC ledge, will now be computed as GFA. Because developers have to keep to a certain max GFA for each plot of land, having the AC ledge being computed as part of the GFA essentially means each unit now takes up a larger GFA, and hence developers can now build lesser units than before. As such, I won't be surprised if the developer marks up the price for each unit to cover up for their so-called loss of not being able to sell as many units as before. So according to this article, okay, you can take a look over here, developers usually earn 4 to 5% of the total sellable area for AC ledges. Okay, that means to say I actually have to mark up the pricing of this 985 PSF PPR by 5%. If I do so, this will actually give me a 1034 PSF per PPR instead. Okay, so with that, it is then clear to me that Lentor Gardens and Lentor Hills Residences, these two will be the 2 cheapest land plots amongst the 5 so far, and therefore I'm going to give them a rating of 4. Okay, next up, for Lentor Hills Road Parcel B and for Lentor Central, because they are at about 1100 plus per square feet, okay, I'm going to give them a rating of 3 instead. And finally, Lentor Modern being the most expensive, I'm only going to give it a rating of 2. So there we are. These are my scoring for this particular factor on pricing. So are you ready for the final results? Let's go! After tabulating the score, Lentor Hills Residences and Lentor Gardens have emerged as the top 2 in the Lentor estate. Preliminarily, I do feel that these 2 will outperform the rest, just like how Grandeur Park Residences outperformed the rest in Tanah Merah. But of course, for Lentor Gardens, we still don't really know its ultimate pricing. It could end up higher than we expect due to the rising manpower and construction cost, or simply because Coco Land decides to launch at a higher price. For now, if Lentor Hills Residences can go at an average price of below 2,000 per square feet, then I think it's a pretty safe bet, given that Panorama, which is about 10 years older and only 1 MRT stop away, has already transacted at more than 2,000 PSF. Feel free to let me know if you agree or disagree with the ratings. If you like more information on Lentor Hills Residences, or if you would like me to evaluate another development, feel free to reach out to me at 9451 5625. Once again, I'm Sean and I'll see you soon.